how you see the empowerment of women in Pakistan and how you compare it with the rest of the Muslim world.
Women have come along a long way in terms of empowerment. And I think a lot of credit goes to the constitutional framework, which guarantees equality of women. That this Federal Ombudsperson Secretariat for Protection Against Harassment at the Workplace, it is unique in the entire world. No other country in the world has such an institution. We are the only institution in the world created by the government of Pakistan, which specifically protects against harassment at the workplace, gender-based discrimination.
I would like to have your comments, especially in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and the suffering of women over there.
Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, UN mechanisms, they have reported on the added sufferings and tribulations of the Kashmiri women in the occupied Kashmir. You know, militarization often comes with sexual violence on women. Rape is an instrument of war.
And these incidents have been on the rise in an occupied valley.
And reported.
So how you see the plight of Afghan women at the hands of Afghan Taliban?
I am frankly devastated about what's happening to the Afghan women. The fundamental rights to education, the fundamental right to employment, etc., the right of freedom of movement, those are denied to the Afghan women. Afghanistan has ratified all the key international human rights treaties.
How you see the achievements of women in different walks of life in Pakistan?
In the foreign services, I see an increasing number of women. In decision making, I see a larger number of women. We have a province which is headed by a woman chief minister, who is doing a very good job.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in Videos English. Dear viewers, today we'll talk about women empowerment, and once we discuss women empowerment, we will also discuss the status of women in South Asia. What is status of women in India? India is a country where women are subject to extreme harassment and discrimination. And similarly, in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the story is extraordinary, very tight, and that means the Kashmiri women are subjected to severe torture by the Indian security forces. Then we will also discuss briefly the Afghan Taliban's discrimination against women. And that discrimination has been highlighted by United Nations and several international organizations. From Pakistan's context and perspective, we will discuss achievements of women. And over the last 2 decades, what significant achievements have been made vis-a-vis the rights of women are concerned, and what significant achievements the women made after the adoption of several laws which were meant to protect the rights of women in Pakistan, and how the women's status could be compared with the rest of the Muslim world, how Pakistani women enjoy empowerment, what is their status as far as jobs, education, their role in politics, and these all things. We are fortunate to have with us a very veteran women rights activist, and the lady who has worked at international level for the promotion of the rights of women. And she has a very deep eye and analysis on the rights of the women, not only in South Asia and Pakistan and globally. And currently, she's heading Pakistan's women Ombudsperson Women's Ombudsperson for protection of their rights against harassment, Fauzia, Viqar. Very warm welcome to Program Insight in Videos English. So, since you took the charge of this office, this is very, high-profile office in Pakistan, which is meant to protect the rights of women. And as you were telling me before program, that it is not only for women, for transgenders and for male as well. Before we specifically talk about the women issues in Pakistan, I would like to seek your comment. what is the situation in India? India is a country where minorities, where religious minorities, where women, regardless of their religion or ethnic background, they are subjected to extreme discrimination. And that Indian discrimination has been highlighted by several international institutions and the Western governments.
Well, Mateen, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure talking about women's empowerment, a subject on which I have worked for over 3 decades now. And there's much to be done. When it comes to the status of women globally, there is still a lot of gender disparity.
At global level.
At all levels, at the global level. And in fact, the UN Secretary General, a couple of years ago, a year ago actually, he stated that it will take 137 years at the current pace to finish gender disparity. So the outcomes between men and women globally. It's not just, a problem of South Asia, it's a global problem, which spans key areas like education, health, economic empowerment, and political empowerment. Economic empowerment is the area where we have the biggest challenges generally, where South Asia also has the biggest challenges. Unfortunately, the entire South Asia is not doing as well as many other countries in the world. And if you look at the multiple countries of South Asia, India, of course, is not doing well. We also need to do better. There's Bangladesh. Bangladesh was doing better, but now their ranking has gone down a little bit because of various changes.
True.
You talked about India. India has taken multiple steps for economic empowerment of women and for social empowerment. But the mindset remains, which discriminates against women. We still have the same issues where women are seen less than, inferior, unable to do some things, not cut out for certain roles. And despite, again, legislation and policies, women still suffer, which is reflected in the poor labor force participation. The Indian labor force participation stands around 21% or so of women, despite the fact that there is a general image that women in India are far more progressive than many other countries of the region. But the labor force participation has actually declined a little bit over a period of time. And Indian women find it as difficult as many other nations or women of many other nations to balance the social expectations and work expectations. Because of which their labor force participation is not as good as what it should be, considering that their educational participation is all right.
So that you talked about, you gave a very crisp overall picture of women status and gender disparity at global level. How you see the women empowerment in Pakistan? Whenever we talk of women or any rights issue in Pakistan, we always compare it with the Muslim world. And it was quite significant and very pleasant to see in our political history Madam Benazir Bhutto, who rose to the position of Prime Minister twice. How you see the empowerment of women in Pakistan and how you compare it with the rest of the Muslim world?
Women have come along a long way in terms of empowerment. And I think a lot of credit goes to the constitutional framework, which guarantees equality of women, which guarantees full participation of women in public life. Article 25 guarantees equality. Article 34 talks about full participation of women in public life. 37E talks about protection of even maternity, and safe working conditions for women. So the constitutional framework is very equitable. I'm using the word consciously because it imposes also a responsibility on the state to take special measures and initiatives for empowerment of women.
And the state has taken those measures under the Constitution?
Yes, exactly. So not only is there a constitutional framework, but that filters down into special laws. Even the law that I have the responsibility to implement, the Protection Against Harassment of Women at the Workplace Act of 2010, that's a special enactment. The objective of 2010, it was significantly amended in 2022, whereby the ambit of the law was expanded to include students, interns, volunteers, and domestic workers also.
Okay.
So,
regardless of gender, the domestic workers.
so yes, there are two kinds of harassments that can happen within the ambit of the law. One is sexual advances. The other one is discrimination on the basis of gender.
True.
If a man, if a transgender, if a woman can make a case that they are looked down upon, they are meted out discriminatory treatment because they are women, because they are transgenders, because even if they are men, sometimes men discriminate against men also, then the law covers them adequately and our office fully deals with it.
Okay.
So I was just saying that not only is there constitutional framework and guarantees, there are laws, there are special laws. And you will be delighted to find out that this Federal Ombudsperson Secretariat for Protection Against Harassment at the Workplace, it is unique in the entire world. No other country in the world has such an institution.
This is unique in the world.
This is unique
Pakistan.
in the world. I will give you a guarantee that you will find no conflicting situation anywhere else or assertion. We are the only institution in the world created by the government of Pakistan which specifically protects against harassment at the workplace, gender-based discrimination, and now it is also tasked with the protection of women's property rights.
Property rights.
Yes, in 2020, we got a special mandate to protect women's property rights in Islamabad Capital Territory. That has become a big success.
And it is now in implementation stage?
Oh, absolutely. Fully being implemented. Every day we get multiple complaints whereby women from all walks of life, from all social strata, they come and they complain of property rights or denial of property rights. There are women who cannot read or write, but they know of the institution and they come.
Very good.
So the state has not only then enacted laws, but it has created policies afterward and it has created institutions and resourced them adequately. Now it is our job to ensure that more and more people know about it and they come to us to seek justice,
So this 2025 year passing through, it is an era where there is huge political awareness, constitutional awareness. These all things have been done with the blessing of the very active, vibrant, independent media, of course.
Yes.
So how what particular tools or strategies adopted to create awareness? As you just mentioned, that the women who are illiterate, they also know existing of this office and finally they reach out. What is the mechanism, how awareness has been created among the women that these are your rights and the state is protecting your right, which is a very positive story?
So we are very aware that social media is the biggest tool that we have. Media of all types is a big tool. Whether it is a conventional media or social media is our biggest tool.
Digital media?
All of it.
All of it.
So being cognizant of the fact, we try to reach out primarily through the medium of media.
Okay.
We also go physically.
In local
into
languages?
In all languages, In all languages, we try to reach out. We go personally also into schools, colleges, universities, public sector organizations, private sector organizations, corporate organizations, non-corporate, everywhere that we can, everywhere. My own office has offices across Pakistan in all the provincial metropolises, the capitals, and in sub-regional also. So the outreach is necessary.
In all provincial capitals, you have branches of this
Everywhere.
Ombudsperson.
There is an office of the Federal Ombudsperson in all provincial capitals, including Lahore, Karachi, Peshawar, Quetta. We have one in Multan also for the ease of people. But along with that, we encourage people to reach out through online mediums or through phone calls so that people don't have to travel long distances because, mobility is a big problem for women.
True.
Not only is there a social issue with mobility, it's a resource constraint. And women find it hard to travel. Therefore, we encourage them to come through Zoom, come through WhatsApp call. We have ways of verifying their identity and then we proceed with the hearing also.
So, Fauzia, Viqar, whenever there is any issue in Pakistan with Pakistani women, international media and Western community do extraordinary highlight. And there have been such stories. But why there is indifference when it comes to similar, rather worse treatment with the women by the society or by the authorities in India?
I guess it's a matter of perception. Perhaps there's been a very active creation of perception whereby Pakistan is shown as archaic, conservative, where women's rights, it's a narrative building.
True.
Whereas India has been able to build a narrative that women are very free and that they're doing so well, and a lot of the numbers are then hidden.
True.
There have been some good efforts also on the Indian part also, whereby, for instance, there was the large-scale public works program called the Gandhi Public Works Program, within which there was a large quota set for women.
True.
So perhaps it's just the narrative building, it's the highlighting of those that has led to such a positive perception. We probably need to do a better job of improving the perception about Pakistan.
True.
Because media is willing to receive good information. To give you an example, recently an order came out of our office in which the denial of leave during maternity was seen as a violation of the constitutional guarantee of equality, Article 25.
Must be by some government department?
So, no, this was denial of a maternity leave by a private sector organization.
Okay.
So
this commission also covers the private sector?
Oh, absolutely. So we cover private sector, we cover public sector, we even cover domestic servants. So if there's a maid employed in the house of a person, we can talk about her, we can give a redress against harassment also.
So what happened to previous story?
So the maternity leave was denied. Our office ruled, the order was that the woman is going to be reinstated. She was terminated. She's going to be reinstated with all back benefits. And the organization was fined, a hefty fine. That story somehow appealed to the media and they picked it up. When the local media picked it up, that is national media picked it up, it started to circulate in the international media also. And I was reminded of the power of media. These are the things that we ourselves have to project also consciously. And if there are good stories, media will pick it up. But I guess we have good stories, we're just not giving it to the media. The narrative building needs to be stronger then. The sharing needs to be stronger. Just an honest sharing.
Okay. So I would also like to, since you have been teaching international relations and as an international relations practitioner, of course, South Asia, issue of Jammu and Kashmir, where hundreds and thousands of Kashmiri people laid down their life in the struggle. And we cannot forget the brave role by the Kashmiri women. How you see the Kashmiri women who have been subjected to severe torture, kidnapping, and there have been many, many incidents at the hands of the Indian security forces, including their honor was violated. So I would like to have your comments, especially in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and the suffering of women over there.
You see, whenever there is conflict, men and women all suffer, but women suffer differently. There is added suffering for them. I say that because, for instance, if a male member of the house is abducted or is killed, unfortunately, not only will women suffer the grief and trauma of their loved one, of the loss of their loved one, it will cause a huge economic vulnerability also. Because they are not equipped most of the times to step in and they have to do it per force. Something for which they are not ready to do, they are forced to do, then that lends them to greater exploitation. And these women then get exploited in that way also. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, UN mechanisms, they have reported on the added sufferings and tribulations of the Kashmiri women in the occupied Kashmir. Also the militarization of the state in the Indian occupied Kashmir, which unfortunately by withdrawing Article 370 and 35A, just militarized and increased the draconian control of the state, in the Indian state, further on the occupied Kashmir. That has led to increased suffering of the women. You know, militarization often comes with sexual violence on women. Rape is an instrument of war.
And these incidents have been on the rise in an occupied Delhi.
And reported. So rape is an instrument of war. It has, since historically, it's been used as an instrument of war. These women have been subjected to sexual violence because of the increased militarization of the state also. Also because of the various security acts that have been in force in the occupied Kashmir since 1990, there is no accountability of the armed forces. Those acts have blocked the accountability of their armed forces.
True.
Because of which women are subjected to increased violence, increased lack of accountability, and increased trauma. Human Rights Watch has reported mental trauma that has been suffered, post-traumatic stress disorder, etc., and a lot of the other violations, including mobility constraints on women. And we need to raise our voice against them, against the atrocities in favor of the Kashmiri women, which we do everywhere. But atrocity, wherever it happens, of course, Pakistan raises its voice against those atrocities, whether it is in Kashmir or it is in Gaza or it is anywhere else in the world. We always stand for all women, as we do in the case of Afghanistan also.
And this is what my next question is in. They have just completed 4 years since 2021. August, Taliban came into power, and then this whatever has been reported in international media, there have been shocking stories coming from various parts of Afghanistan where they have introduced a very tight regime vis-a-vis the gender rights and women rights. They've been denied of education. They've been denied of jobs. So how do you see the plight of Afghan women at the hands of Afghan Taliban?
I am frankly devastated about what's happening to the Afghan women, because I've had the privilege of working with some Afghan women, women's rights activists and all. And while things weren't good since 1979, there had been a reversal of rights since 1979. But in the interim period between 2001 and later, there were some gains. In fact, before the Taliban takeover, there were 25% representation of women in the Afghan parliament also.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, all of that has been reversed.
That has been reversed.
And now there is a gender apartheid. And I'm not saying that. UN has used this term of a gender apartheid in Afghanistan, whereby the fundamental rights to education, the fundamental right to employment, etc., the right of freedom of movement, those are denied to the Afghan women.
By Taliban, of
By
course.
the Taliban government. And the girls they are permitted to get education in, of course, girls' school, which is fine, only up to grade 6.
Only up to grade 6.
Only up to grade
and beyond
6.
grade 6, no education?
They are not allowed. A lot of stringent conditions have been imposed, which are hard to meet, because of which girls are not getting educated in higher education institutions. They have been effectively banned from technical education in many areas, which is not only a denial of the fundamental rights of the girls and women, it is also leading to increased problems with women's health. For example, because the health workers, there are less and less health workers now, because of the fact that medical education has been denied to women, saying that they can only be taught by women. Now, in a country which has gone through 40 years of strife and restrictions, there are not enough doctors to teach women doctors, female doctors to teach women doctors, because of which they can't get taught. Consequently, what is happening is there is going to be, if there isn't already, a rise in maternal mortality, a rise in infant mortality.
Due to the lack of the female doctors.
Female health workers. Whether they are health workers, they are doctors, I'm taking them all broadly, the nurses, etc. So ultimately, it is leading to a deprivation of all the basic or the fundamental human rights. And I want to actually also observe in this perspective that Afghanistan has ratified all the key international human rights treaties.
On women.
on human rights treaties.
On human, that also covers it.
Which includes International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, which includes International Convention on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, which includes, and I will,
this
stress,
was done by the previous government.
By the previous government.
So this means these Afghan Taliban are committing violation of all international treaties.
So that's exactly. But I wanted to stress on the previous government having ratified the Convention for Elimination of Discrimination Against Women,
True.
which came into being in 1979. Afghanistan, of course, ratified it much later. That treaty, that legal instrument is meant to protect women only. It's a Bill of Rights for women. Afghanistan has ratified. They haven't opted out of those yet. But there's just lack of enforcement.
True.
There is no implementation of those rights. So the international community needs to wake up. The international community needs to remind Afghanistan of the commitment. And
so there is no concern by international community?
There is. But there needs to be a stronger engagement on human rights specifically.
True.
And on women's rights specifically within that, because of the fact that CEDAW is all about human rights. All the 16 operative articles and the 30 odd articles which are there, they talk about, right to health, right to education, rights of rural women, talks about equality before the law.
True.
It talks about removing stereotypes. It talks about eliminating discrimination. Talks about rights in marriage also. So all of those are getting violated because of the fact that Afghanistan refuses to implement those rights. So lots to be done, but it's a very sad situation.
It's an alarming story.
It's a very alarming story. It is a gender apartheid. It should be considered a war. It should be considered a crime against humanity, as many organizations have asked to declare it a crime against humanity.
So now since we are moving to the last portion of our program, I would like to, you have briefly touched the picture of Pakistan related to the women's rights, achievements and things like that. If we look into 2025, significant improvement is visible. Women are part of armed forces, all three armed forces. They have been into some of the professions where we never thought. They are in the sensitive national security organization. They're everywhere, and civil service, since long, they're part of it. How you see the achievements of women in different walks of life in Pakistan after adoption of several laws?
Well, to begin with, I want to highlight the adoption of the several laws.
Several laws.
In the past 2 decades or so, several laws have been passed, special laws for promotion of women's empowerment. You see, there was always the 1973 constitutional guarantee of equality, but it had, and it was filtered down in, for instance, the right to fair trial, which treats citizens equally, but it was still not getting done. And therefore, for economic, social, political, health, educational empowerment of women, special laws were enacted.
True.
I talked about the law to protect women, especially from, although it protects everyone, but especially women from harassment. There are laws there are policies then which guarantee quotas. Women's at least 15% participation in employment.
True.
There are laws that talk about, it could be national laws, it could be provincial laws, which talk about representation of women in decision-making committees and boards and task forces, etc. Punjab has had a very effective one in 2014. Then there are laws, or the laws for protection against sexual violence have been strengthened. For instance, rape, the anti-rape trial and investigation ordinance, it used to be, there was an ordinance, then it became an act, and now it has been strengthened very significantly in 2021, which not only tightens the procedure, it also gives special facilities so that women may step out, they may speak up, and they may be given redress.
Okay.
As you mentioned, I teach at multiple forums. Some of them are just in the form of lectures, others may be in the form of longer courses, and many of them are of the government. And I'm very encouraged by an increasing number of women in the new batches that come. For instance,
increasing number of women
in the new
civil service batches.
In civil service batches. So, for example, I was encouraged to see a large number.
Which group has more higher?
I was just going to tell you that Well, this year, apparently in the civil service exam, almost 50% of the successful candidates were women.
Were girls.
Yeah,
Okay.
were women. And now that the courses that I'm teaching in PAS, the Pakistan Administrative Service, I see a large number of women. In police service, there is a larger number of women. As a matter of fact, last year, the all-round best probationer or the best graduate from the police academy in Islamabad, the National Police Academy, was a woman. And she was an all-rounder, so that's how she got the best one.
Wonderful.
That in the foreign services, I see an increasing number of women. In decision-making, I see a larger number of women. Of course, we need more, but as these batches go up, we'll see a much larger number, I'm sure. We have seen induction of more ministers in our cabinet also.
Exactly.
We have a province which is headed by a woman chief minister who is doing a very good job. And the fact that she's a woman, she is more clued into the challenges for women. Because if you remember, when she gave her maiden speech in the assembly, in the Punjab assembly, one of the things that she talked about was how harassment is her red line. And she has brought that into effect.
That harassment would be her red line.
She says, nobody will be able to harass. There's going to be zero tolerance. And that is a red line where there is no ifs and buts. There's no black and white. That's a red line you cannot cross. And in implementation of that particular line.
Have you seen implementation?
I was just going to come to that.
Travel frequently between Islamabad and Lahore.
I was recently invited by the Punjab Safe Cities Authority, and I was very happy and impressed to see the establishment of a virtual women police station.
Virtual women police station.
Housed, I think the framework was housed, or the office was housed in the Punjab Safe Cities Authority, which was doing a great job of receiving calls, routing them, taking all the necessary
This has been set up in Lahore.
It has been set up for
Virtual
the past...
women police station.
Yes, for the past many months now. And they are getting such a large number of complaints. I was sitting there, I called to test, They encouraged me to call from any number and test, and we called and tested, and the response was excellent. They asked for the basic credentials, they asked for the basic information, they asked for the area, and all of that information that then gets translated into...
And the police goes for action as well?
There is apparently...
There is a women
within 40 minutes, the police reaches.
With the women's squad as well?
With the woman present also, with women police officers present also. Apart from that, they have, since 2016, they had a women safety application.
Women's safety app.
Which has been now made very sophisticated. So if you just shake it, the call will go to 15. A lot of times women don't get a... Online,
very simple,
so
from mobile.
So you just shake it, from the mobile, the call will go to 15, which will track the location of the call. And they have intervened.
Place of where the incident
occurred. Where the incident happens. So they're doing a really good job, and I think that is coming from good leadership, and the fact when you put women in positions of power, they do their job, and they also think of the 50% of the population, which does tend to get marginalized, in our various discussions on a daily basis.
So finally, I would like to ask you one question with two segments. How do you see the future of women in Pakistan? We are gradually moving into technological era, high-tech, artificial intelligence, rapid developments taking place, geostrategic, geopolitical in that, rapid developments taking in the region and globally. How you see the future of women in Pakistan, number one, and what needs to be done more? Yes.
Good question. Well, talking about geopolitics, our foreign secretary at the moment is a woman.
Yes, Amina Baloch.
Amina Baloch Sahiba, she's a woman, a very competent woman, doing a great job. We have many other role models. In our Supreme Court, we have two iconic women Supreme Court judges. In the Punjab, in the Lahore High Court is headed by the Chief Justice, Justice Alia Neelam. So we have many, and in Islamabad High Court, we have Justice Saman Rafat Imtiaz, excellent judge. So we have many bright path breakers. I see very good future for the women of Pakistan. They have come a long way. Their literacy rates have risen. Their enrollment in tertiary educational institutions has risen. We would like to see more women in the workforce so that
More women in the workforce.
Because if women want to work, there should be no societal challenges for them.
Okay.
This will require more enabling work environment, a safer society where they can travel in peace and in safety, a safer workplace where they are not subjected to any harassment, equal opportunities for promotion, and equal opportunities to be in decision-making positions. Whether they are in their career or they are as members of the boards, committees, etc., all of those. We also need to improve generally women's leadership across the board, not just the workforce, but across the board. Because while we have many women, for instance, in the health sector and in the education sector, in various positions, we need to see more women over there. We need to see more women coming through general elections also. Because women do a great job into the parliament,
provincial assemblies,
into the provincial and national assembly and the Senate. We need to see, and we need women to graduate from reserve seats on to winning the general seats.
Election.
For direct elections, we need more political participation of women. And for me personally, I need to see more women understanding their rights and redress mechanisms that have been created, and then accessing them to assert those rights as equal citizens of Pakistan. The state guarantees that right. Now they need to raise their voice. They need to stand up and raise their voice. For that, you don't have to know rocket science. You can just, now everybody has the world of information, a wealth of information on the palm of their hand. They can just open their smartphone and ask about a particular law. A summary will come, which will be easily accessible. Ask it in English, ask it in Urdu, ask it in Saraiki, ask in it Sindhi, ask whatever language you ask, it will give you an answer. So just know your rights, stand up for your rights. I can guarantee that we will ensure that those rights, as far as our mandate is concerned, are protected. And I think the government of Pakistan stands behind the rights of women.
Thank you so much indeed. And takeaways, Government of Pakistan stands behind the rights of the women, and the future of women in different spheres of life in Pakistan in the days ahead is very, very bright. And a number of extraordinary laws have been created in last 2 decades, and that is unprecedented in the world. Pakistan is far, far ahead in terms of laws related to the rights of the women. And you also expressed alarming concerns, deep concerns about the plight of women in Afghanistan. Thank you so much, despite your very busy schedule, on this very, very important issue, which is not only issue in South Asia, but the rest of the world. And you shared your insights in the program Insight at V News English. Dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.